many people do find us on just our website. So we do have individuals that call us without realtors, and that's great. We love working with anybody.
So do you show up and do a preliminary, I mean,
yeah,
it's got to be different. It's not just the size of the home. It seems like there'd be a lot of work in some cases in a small home and not much in a big home, depending on the situation.
Yeah, a lot of it, our whole business, interior design or staging, we really pride ourselves on tailoring to the budget. So, you know, and especially with staging, I mean, what I do is we come in, we look at a property, talk a little bit with the realtor or the homeowner. Sometimes we just get the lockbox. It really depends upon, you know, the comfort level or the time. You know, some people don't have time and don't want to meet me. And that's fine. I just do a walkthrough and I take pictures, and then I come back to the office here and write up a proposal. And so that's all free. And if they're there, we can discuss, you know, any questions they have on budgeting or concerns or anything like that, any questions. Sometimes, you know, it goes beyond just the surface things. It goes like maybe the plumbing, faucets are out of date, or the lighting isn't very good, or the paint needs some touch up, or those kinds of things. So, you know, those are all the kind of things that the homeowner just needs to decide based on their budget and what they think they're going to get back for their buck. And we're happy to kind of tell them, this is, I mean, that's where the realtor comes into, the realtor and the stager. I mean, I'm not a realtor, you know, and I don't know what the comps might be. I know a lot of the areas. But I'm going to give my 2 cents on visually, and I mean, I know what most things cost. So it really depends on how motivated people are. You know, I see all kinds of folks. Some people maybe are motivated, but they just don't have the budget. So, you know, or maybe some people just say, well, I don't really think it's going to make a big difference if I paint that wall, you know. And so, but I do find that the more motivated people are, the more.
So then you kind of break it up into a list of, here's what needs to be done, you can do this and I can do this type of thing?
Yeah.
It's funny, it makes me think of, we had a big section on getting a home inspection, which I highly recommend for anybody before they sell their home to know what's wrong with the home. And that obviously involves some technical things on specifics on the home, on repairs and safety and that type of thing. But in a way, you're doing a visual home inspection and saying, hey, what's gonna take to make this look good?
Yeah, that's true. And then after that, giving it the tune-up.
The tune-up. Okay, good. Another good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Okay, and how do you get paid? And then, do we do that at closing, or is that something you get paid up front? Do the realtors pay you? How does that work for you and your business?
Well, typically we, so on the owner-occupieds, we just usually get paid by the realtor as sort of like a perk that they offer many of their clients for us to come in for a couple hours, and then, you know, they never see that invoice. And then for people that are doing a FSBO or, you know, whatever, it's usually like a couple $100 and just for a couple hours for us to come in, and I try to do as much as possible in those 2 hours. So when I leave, that place is done and there's no stress about prepping the home visually. So that's my goal, is there's so much stress in selling a house, and I try to take that off the plate. So that's that one. The vacants, the sort of in between with the owner-occupieds are things that might need to be supplemented, or furniture that was left behind. And the vacants, typically, and this isn't, in my experience, the property owners pay for that. I do that because it's back to the budget. You know, budgets are so important, and I don't want people to stress about, oh, next month we've got money due to the stager. You know, I don't want to feel like I'm like a landlord, or I'm, you know, renting the furniture. I want to feel like they've gotten this nice package from us. And basically, you know, we'll go in at maybe once a month within those 90 days and just check on the property and make sure everything looks okay, nothing's been damaged, or, you know, anything like that. Make sure it still looks as fluffy and nice as when we left it. So, yeah, so 90 days. So that money that you paid pretty much up front, I mean, it's after everything's done, is for 90 days. And then there's no more billing unless the house for some reason doesn't sell. And for the most part, we've had pretty good luck. You know, it all kind of comes back to price, though. House.
Yeah, so. Like we talked about in the beginning.
Price.
Price and preparation go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Do you have, let's say, 3 favorite or 5 favorite things about house staging that you like, or things that you tend to, maybe you would advise people on?
Like, what would people do? What are some tips?
Maybe your top 3 tips for people that something that they can do on their own, not necessarily taking over what you do, but some common things you see, or favorite ways of making a home look a little better.
Well, the number one, numero uno thing is Q-tip clean.
Q-tip clean.
Q-tip clean,
Okay.
absolutely. So everything has to be clean, 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 clean. People, I mean, let's be honest. You walk into a place and, you feel like someone hasn't taken care of it, or it's dirty. I mean, people are it takes, I don't know what your statistic is, if you even have a statistic on decision making on a home, but I bet 8 seconds.
Yeah.
8 seconds, that's not very long to make an impression. So if any room is clean, make sure it's that first room. But then you want to hook them, and so you want to keep them going. So make sure everything is, so Q-tip clean is our number one thing. After that is decluttering. I tell people, if you have like bookshelves, take half of the stuff off. Just as a general rule of thumb.
There's a good tip right there.
Yeah, so it helps open up the space. You get more wall space, and it makes it look bigger.
Okay.
So that's another pretty easy thing. The third is the depersonalization. So, people feel like they're invading the space. If they see all the family photos up, and I know we love the family photos, and I hate to tell people that. I mean, my job is, when I tell people when I leave, and because a lot of people say, oh, it's so boring, it's so stark, and I say, I mean, my job is to make this depersonalized and to make it inviting to other people. And so if they feel like, there's all the, even religious things, or, you want to make sure that you don't turn anybody off, because you want to make sure everybody's a potential buyer that comes into your house.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you want to be, I'm pretty, and I tell people it's really up to you, but this is my advice.
Sure.
To try to take
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've heard a recurring theme from talking with various real estate professionals and appraisers and home inspectors and everybody else, and got a pretty good agreement that cleanliness is good, fresh paint is good,
right,
and decluttering and depersonalization. Your stuff is great for you, but for somebody else looking at your home, they don't want to feel like they're part of your home. They want it to feel like it may be their home.
right,
And that's a big difference. As I put on one of my other videos, it's not what you prefer, it's what the buyer prefers that counts. Because your job, you have a job if you're going to do for sale by owner, and that is to get your home sold. And every job, there's parts of it you don't like, and you may not like getting rid of your stuff, but that's what it takes to get it sold sometimes. So that's very good advice. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's part of the detachment too. It's interesting for me. Some people really have detached and they're ready to move on, and some people struggle with that. And I know it can be a struggle. It can be hard to let go, but that's part of that. And also, the cool thing is that if you do all this, you've already pre-packed your stuff, so you're making less work for yourself later.
That's a good point too. That's a good point. Start packing some of that stuff away.
Yeah, because it's packing is like, we all move and we say, I'm never moving again. So we remember how much work it is. So just keep in mind that you're just doing yourself a favor down the road.
That's excellent. Well, Helly's office is right here in Louisville on Main Street. Is it 820? Did I get that right?
That's
820
right.
Main Street. And how can they reach you by phone?
We are, the phone number is 303-249-4661.
Okay.
And
good.
we have a really great website. I think I
Okay.
mentioned it earlier.
Give it a
It's
plug.
designmattershome.com. And we've got tons of portfolio pictures. So it really does let people see what we can do and the difference we can make.